everybody. We are PO Sisterhood. Itzel Vasquez, Daniela Medina, Andrea Ramirez, Marisol Radillo, and Elizabeth Parra Ramos. And today we'll talk about South Africa from the 20th century till today. Let's begin. Well, we can start this story with the Anglo-Boer or the South African Wars, right? Yes. Because in 1909, when they ended, the South African became part, or like a colony, of the British Empire, right? And after that, it wasn't until 1934 that they became self-governing, but still within the British Empire grasp, right? But also in 1960 they became sovereign, like the Republic of South Africa began, and with that also the problems.
Yes, like in 1948, the National Party became elected and the apartheid began.
But remember that it was founded in 1914, so it is an old party.
Yeah. So what can you tell us about the apartheid?
Well, the apartheid didn't only start in 1948 with the election of the National Party. Racism was already known and already established, but until that time it was legally accepted and they established some laws, so it was part of the legal system already.
Yes. And what can you tell us about the Afrikaners?
Okay, so it's curious because it's about racism. So because they had heresy from heritage
from the Dutch.
from the Dutch. They felt like they were with better genes, so that was what led to that kind of racism, that they felt better than the others.
Actually, it's funny to see that all the world was like anti-racism, but South Africa was like legitimizing.
Pro.
Yeah.
So the the minority white rule was took all the power, right? And they began the legislation, like it became legal to be racist.
Exactly. They separated the South Africa in regions. Like here are going to be the color reds, that's how they call them, and the Afrikaners, and they were separated.
Yes.
Yes, but even though they were the majority, there was a party and still lost the elections. Was the ANC.
Oh yeah, the African National Congress, right? Yeah, the African National
Founded in
Congress.
1912.
Yeah, and do you remember the leader? What was he called?
Leslie, I believe its name was
Yeah,
like that.
Leslie.
And he was like very important because he didn't care if he went against the government. He just wanted to, like, Afrikaners and color reds to learn to
unite.
Yeah, exactly.
But even though there were all these problems, there were still like a lot of people who tried to like intervene to solve it. Like, do you remember the UN? All the things they do. Do you remember someone else? The Soviet Union, right?
It's important because at that time it was the Cold War, so they had USA from one part that wanted the capitalism and all that, and the Soviet Union, which wasn't that into, but it still gave support to the country. So there's that.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, I remember all the things that the UN, it was one of their main problems to solve. Like, for example, they did the resolution against the Sharpeville killing.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes,
you remember, right?
Always protesting? Those
Yeah,
are
the
They
69.
were peacefully protesting and they killed like 69 people, and that was like something not correct or
Exactly, it was peaceful.
Yeah.
yeah.
And also after that came the Namibia, the embargo on petroleum to try to like take some of the power to the party.
There were many boycotts to try to suppress that feeling and the communism and all the stuff.
Yeah.
So that also affect really the country.
I also think that thanks to that, Nelson Mandela, with some like created his army to get against that, and like that Nelson Mandela started to get into problems, and that's why he was sent to jail.
Yeah.
What can you tell us about Nelson Mandela?
Yeah, Nelson Mandela was the leader of the ANC, but he
Yeah.
got in jail in 1967.
Yeah, it's again the protests. They just put him into jail, no?
Yeah, the 2 years later of the march, the peaceful march.
Yeah, the
he
Shanghai
got-
March.
Yeah, they got him and put him in jail.
Yeah, and for how long was he in jail?
27 years.
Almost
Yeah.
30 years.
Something like that.
And it wasn't until the country was better then they decided to let him free.
Yeah,
Actually, he was the first one to win anti-rational elections. He was, then he became the president.
Yes.
94. Yeah.
So you remember when Nelson Mandela was in New York making a speech?
I think he was, well, should be before jail.
Yes.
Exactly before jail, right?
Yes, and Nelson Mandela was after Luthuli, right, in the ANC,
Yeah.
because
Yes.
Luthuli was incredibly loyal to that
To the ANC.
He actually was in a lot of troubles with the
African government.
African government
Exactly.
because they told him that he should resign the ANC, but he didn't, and he was elected as president general like 3 times.
Yeah,
After that,
he was re-elected like a lot. In also he won a Nobel Peace
Peace Prize.
Prize because he was really wanted. He really wanted to unite this problem between the white and the color red.
Yes, and he was always non-violent, and he always tried to make things better with peace instead
Exactly.
of creating even more violence than there already was.
I think it's really remarkable how this event was stained by the Cold War. For example, the intervention or how U.S. Took the chance and started sending weapons and stuff like that to South Africa. But the UN trying to stop that, make the arms embargo in the 77, and to stop U.S. sending uranium and to stop violence. And it's really odd how that event could be retraced to the Cold War.
Actually, I think the embargo was made like 3 years before, and it was really accomplished till 1977.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah, but we are talking a lot of Nelson Mandela, and he's the principal, but we also have the creators of the apartheid.
Yeah,
Exactly.
a few.
Yes.
It was Malan, something like that,
Malan?
who was the creator of the National Party. We also have Verwoerd, who was the prime minister of the National Party and created a lot of acts that also made the apartheid
Legal.
legal and super strict.
Yeah.
Yes, those 2 people were practically the ones who created the complete system of the apartheid. And they were, as you said, the leaders of the National Party who implemented those acts.
Yeah, but it's important to remember that this act helped a lot to implement that, but there were 4 important. It was the Population Registration Act, in which basically they asked the people to separate themselves, and well, that was an impact in the society. It was also the group
Arias Act.
Yeah, that one, in which they had special areas for the color ones and the white ones, and well,
Yes.
In the city or outside, they were living outside with all the industrial things, and so the city wouldn't look like.
but
Yeah, and those special areas for different people were called homelands, right?
Yeah.
But it's important that not only on public spaces, they also did this in schools, like Bantu Act, in which they had worse schools for the ones they thought was minority.
Yes.
Like the color red city.
Yeah.
But it also affected not only politics, but the way they managed their country, like communism and capitalism. Do you remember the other act?
You can see with all these acts, like they implemented this, and in this you can see the connection between how they used the apartheid to put anti-communism, because they
Yes.
had those acts
It
too.
was another act.
Yes,
to-
the Suppression of Communism Act.
Yeah, so you can see how it all comes back
to the Cold War. You can retrace it too. But you know, it's really
Impressive.
yeah. How they did all this to legalize to be racist, like that's a monstrosity.
Yes, because after World War II, every single country in the world was like anti-racism because they noticed all the problems that it could give.
Yeah.
But South Africa, instead of improving their position,
Yeah.
they pretty much devolved.
Yeah, it's like they didn't learn.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you can see clearly how they institutionalized racism, and
Yes.
you can see this too nowadays, and it's way more discreet, but you can go back to South Africa and see how this all works.
Yeah, it was like 20 years ago still.
So, but we can see how it was communist and how it became a republic, and how in 1999 UN again accepted South Africa because it finally converted into democratic, exactly.
Yeah.
So one of the things that now we see is that South Africa now is democratic, and and now is part of the UN.
Yes, and also like we can see now that even though it has some kind of unsteady government, they're really trying to
Yeah,
Like,
the
improve.
tensions eased, and they're getting better. I mean, we can
But
improve, but you know, it's been a long way, so it's actually good how it is now.
Actually, the National Party tried to again gain power, and it renamed itself with the name New National Party, but it didn't work because we see how people evolutionate, so everything is better. So it really didn't
Yeah.
work, and
Yeah.
we have to be thankful about that.
We would like to think that if something like that happened again, they will have more support from other countries to stop this atrocity.
well, as a conclusion, we can say that the apartheid and all that happened in South Africa can be retraced back to the Cold War. It had a huge impact in it because first the U.S. was like really trying to benefit themselves by sending weapons and things that instead of stopping violence, they like
Increased it.
continued, increased it. Also, the communism was like a polemic theme in there because there was one party that was supporting it and there was one party that was against it.
And we can see here that UN isn't really with somebody. It is always neutral, and it wants like the best for humans, because at the end we're talking about human rights, and they act with us, for humans, not for any country, not for communism, not for capitalism. That's like real government.
Yes, or at least they try to impose that. Because there will always be someone who tries to act in a way that is not the most appropriate or the most
Exactly,
nice
yeah.
to other people.
Yeah.
It is a little sad that still these days some people are racist. Like, it will never be completely taken away because people will always look for ways to gain more control and to
Gain power.
gain power, because sometimes they are afraid of people that are different to them, so they will try to take them down.
Yeah, but we can use this as a lesson to see how they slowly improve. I mean, there's still racism, but at least we are getting better at handling these kind of problems.
Yeah.
Right, we can see also the evolution of people because in 1999 the National Party tried again to gain power, and it renamed itself with New National Party, but it really didn't work. Very few people were supporting them, and at the end they couldn't gain power. They didn't came into politics again.
When was that they were completely like taken
Shut
down? Mm-hmm. the national party.
The new national party. It was actually the national party, but it renamed.
Mhm.
So now they were trying to again get into politics, but the people
Didn't like them.
didn't like them and they couldn't do it.
Well, after 50 years of control like that,
Yeah.
I think nobody would like that.
We
Yeah.
will hope they had their lessons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's everything for today, and thank you for listening.